tell us, how did your relationship with Chris Lunacy come about?
Oh, that's a good question. How did it come about? Basically, through a mutual friend of mine called Sam. I remember, so I used to sort of like muck around with stuff at home, with a home setup and stuff, and I remember Sam telling me that his mate Chris went with a few other guys to Boogie Times in Romford, and they got signed, and they did this Sesame Street thing, and I wasn't quite convinced about it because I thought it was all a little bit too good to be true, but yeah, ended up Sam took me around to Chris's, and it all kind of went from there, really.
So, where did you produce all of your early stuff, and what equipment were you using?
Right. Well, the first three things I did, which was slow motion, green eggs, and most uplifting, I did with Chris in his studio. His studio at the time was just the kind of very typical of what people had in those days, which was like samplers, keyboards, Atari ST computers, mixing desks, and all that sort of stuff. And then my next two tracks, which were higher and higher, I basically harassed Chris to the point where he'd let me go in the studio by himself, and to be fair, he kind of showed me the ropes. I spent a day or so showing me how to work the sampler and stuff like that, and I managed to get a bit of time in his studio and get those releases done, and then after that I went and bought my own stuff and had my own setup at home, which was probably not quite as good as Chris's, but along the same sort of lines.
So, what's your favourite Kniteforce related moment or memory?
Wow. There's loads. I mean, first of all, they're all my mates, so there's nothing sort of better than sort of knocking around with your mates and having a good time and all kind of working on something like the greater good, so to speak, which was kind of how it was back in those days. But probably one of the best moments for me was being in Labyrinth, the queue to get into Labyrinth, just going there as a raver and hearing Most Uplifting being played, which was like my first real taste of what it was like to have, a tune that people liked or, wanted to hear. So the fact that someone I didn't know was playing it, that was a real big thing for me.
What is your favourite Kniteforce tune made by yourself?
It'd probably be Most Uplifting, I would say. I mean, it's not strictly by myself because Chris was involved with making it as well, but I'm fairly kind of, if I'm in the studio, I like to put my point across, so to speak. So, yeah, that's probably my favourite one, yeah, I would say.
So, what's your favourite Kniteforce tune made by someone else?
Well, that's a hard one. They're all so good. Like, yeah, I mean, I think there's some at the time I wasn't quite so keen on, but looking back, they're still really good tunes, and I actually like them more than I did then. But I think I'm not sure if I got the name right, but the Red Alert one, that was good.
Oh,
I think it's Red Alert.
Two Cruising.
Yeah, Two Cruising, Red Alert. Yeah, I always really like that. It's always good fun to mix, and I like the samples, the little vocal samples.
Cool.
So, during your time as a producer, is there anyone that you didn't get to work with that you wish you had? And is there anyone you did work with that you wish you hadn't?
Okay. Well, what you mean work with in the studio? Like, I've not really worked with that many people in the studio, collab wise. I'm always a little bit kind of like nervous about doing it because there's always kind of there's a level where you're either going in with someone who's not as good as you or going in with someone who's better than you, and normally you want to be going in with someone who's better than you. But that always makes me a bit nervous because it's like you just don't want to turn up there and like find that you're kind of out of your depth. Do you know what I mean? So I haven't probably done as many as I would have liked to, but then again, I kind of really just like working by myself because I like the feeling that you did it all, and although it is great to do collabs, and whenever I've done them, it's been good fun. yeah, there's nothing quite as satisfying as having done it all yourself. But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, probably me and Brisk have done the most collabs out of anyone that I've worked with, and it's always a good laugh. And no, I can't honestly say that there's anyone I've ever worked with that I wish I hadn't. So no, it's always been pretty good.
What is your funniest rave memory?
Do you know what? I've been asked this question a few times, and like, I should really have like a kind of stock answer ready to go, but I generally find, I don't know, raves aren't that funny. You know what I mean? It's like you go to a rave, you're not really there going there for, it's not like a comedy club, is it? So, but yeah, probably, actually, yeah, thinking about it, yeah, probably me thinking I saw a cat in the Labyrinth Garden was probably a good moment. It did turn out to be a bush.
Right, if you were not a DJ and producer, what other career would you have chosen for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, because some might argue that this isn't really much of a career anymore, but I think I'd probably been an entrepreneur. Yeah, I think I probably would be an entrepreneur, yeah, of some kind, but I'll definitely work for myself. I always used to look out my school window and see all the people driving past and think, like, what the fuck are they doing? Why aren't they in work or whatever? I want to be one of those people. So yeah, that I would definitely work for myself, I think.
Right, describe your most uplifting moment.
I like what you've done there. Yeah, that's clever. How long did that take to come up with? Most uplifting moment. I mean, probably, yeah, most uplifting moment would have been probably, you know, like 94, 95, around that sort of time, in various clubs. Let me just leave it there.
Okay, tell us about any other favourite genre of music of yours that's not electronic based.
Anything really. I mean, sometimes when you've spent all week, you know, listening to electronic music, the last thing you really want to hear is electronic music. So I'm quite happy to sort of, you know, I don't mind a bit of 70s stuff, 80s stuff, anything good really. That's where I'm at. But yeah, it's nice to sort of listen to those kind of big tunes from back in the day, and you know, like you sit there and listen and how they work and stuff like that, and yeah, that's always the kind of thing I listen to. But honestly, I don't really listen to that much music out of the studio, because you know, it's like, what can you do? You can't listen to music 24/7. It's just not going to happen. So it's good to have a little break from things and come back.
Do you have a favourite band?
No, not really. I'm not really a sort of bandy person. The only ones that, if you're talking about bands that I would like, are probably dance music related, like people like Basement Jaxx or like Prodigy or something like that.
Which celebrity would you like to smack round the face?
Which celebrity would I like to smack round the face? I wouldn't exactly call it a celebrity, but it's a musical called Hamilton the Musical. I'd love to give that a smack round the face, because I've had nothing but grief and fucking people harassing me, well, not harassing me, but just tagging me with a load of nonsense on Twitter, to the point where I had to change my name on Twitter to illustrate that I'm not the musical. But thankfully, since I've done that, I've been left well alone, which is good.
Maybe you should do a Ham musical anyway.
Yeah.
Just devise your own one.
Kniteforce the musical.
Okay, do you have any phobias?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, musicals. Actually, I can't stand them. It's the bit where they go from talking to singing. That's that bit I just hate. It's like they have to set up the song, don't they? So they'll say something, and then like they go into the singing, and it's just like, oh, it's just cringe. But I just realised the mic's off.
Let's start again.
Of all the celebrity deaths that occurred in 2016, which upset you the most?
That'd have to be Bowie, without a doubt, because always been a Bowie fan, and it was really weird, because I saw his Lazarus thing. He just sort of popped up on Facebook, and I was like, oh, fucking hell, Bowie's got a new album, and I saw it, and I was like, I saw the video and I was just like, he's definitely trying to sell us something here with this video. This isn't right, you know what I mean? But knowing Bowie, like Bowie's always like strong on message and stuff like that. So yeah, and then yeah, a couple, two or 3 days later or whatever, he died. But yeah, I'm not normally one to sort of get upset about those things because, you know, I've had my fair share in life of though, you know, people I know, and I'd always rather save my sort of upset for those moments because you need it then. And I think far too many people waste too much time, you know, like worrying about other people they've never even met or, you know, they've got nothing to do with. But that one was actually, yeah, it was a bit of a shock, and yeah, that was, you know, definitely a few days felt a bit down about that. But yeah, all the others don't really care, to be honest.
Tell us about your hobbies, especially the unusual ones.
Okay. I don't really have any unusual ones. What are my hobbies? I mean, probably my biggest hobby is making music, I would say, because I don't really sort of what gets me into the studio is not any other reason apart from it's just a complete compulsion to make music and try and do something, you know, try and improve what you've done before. Other than that, I don't really get much. I mean, I do spend a lot of time in the studio. I've got 3 kids to look after, so they're kind of like a hobby. And probably the only other thing I really do is play a bit of poker. That's about it. But yeah, I kind of I had a year where I went sort of a bit crazy and played like loads and loads of like online poker, and I cleared like 15 grand profit, which I was quite pleased about. So I think I turned over about 50 grand or something. But yeah, that was my profit at the end of the day, which is not bad because the majority of people who play poker, you know, they end up losing money. So I was quite pleased about that. But yeah, I mean, it was just taking up far too much time. It's like to do that, you've got to dedicate a lot of time to it. So yeah, now I'll just play, you know, like just for a couple of hours a week, if that. And yeah, but that's probably the only other thing I really do, and that just sort of catch up with friends and family, which I think, you know, is probably one of the most important things you can do anyway.
Tell us your favourite joke.
Well, I like my favourite joke. It's probably going to change quite often because I like to try and come up with my own jokes, like original ones. But I was trying to think of one the other day about a mate who claimed he invented the serviette, but it just turned out to be a tissue of lies.
Kick drum or breakbeat?
Breakbeat.
Hi-hats or hard hats?
Well, it's high hats. I mean, the hard hats, they're all right, but not for me.
Happy hardcore or hardcore porn?
Wow, that's a tough one, isn't it? Because they both got their stigmas. But it'd have to be happy hardcore, I guess.
Vinyl or CD?
Vinyl. I mean, it's a difficult one because you got to weigh up sort of convenience, haven't you? But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it this way. I wouldn't mind if there was like some sort of law that was brought in where everyone just had to play vinyl again, because that would wipe out you'd probably lose half the modern scenes, because everyone would have to go away and learn how to DJ vinyl for 6 months.
Ecstasy or egg sarnie?
Well, not egg sarnies, so yeah.
David Icke or our bustin' old jam mic?
Well, it's a bit special, isn't it? This bustin' old jam mic, you know, it's like it really does work well. What is it? Is it an SM58? No.
If SM58 is good, it's a Shure. It's the cheapest Shure you can get.
No, it's lovely, yeah. I don't know. I've got a conspiracy theory about this, though. If we're talking about David Icke, I think it's not plugged in.
No comment.
Cut. Kniteforce or knives and forks?
Well, Kniteforce, obviously.
So Damn Tough or 70s muff?
Well, 70s muff. Yeah, you don't really see a lot of 70s muff anymore. You don't really see much muff anymore at all, to be honest. you know, I think you should bring back a little bit of muff. Do you know what I mean? Just a little bit, just so we know that, you know, it's an adult. That would be nice.
Piano break or slice of cheesecake?
I've got a feeling you've just gone for things that rhymed here.
License to Kill or The Big Spill?
You know, the funny thing about The Big Spill is I didn't even know why it was called The Big Spill for like years afterwards. I was like, why is this tune called The Big Spill? I never bothered to ask, you know. I didn't even think about it, but then I realised why it was called The Big Spill, and that was because when we were making it, Matt Colton knocked over a can of Coke in my studio, and I sort of went a bit mental about it. And then I was like, oh fucking hell, yeah, that's right. That's why it's called The Big Spill.
Right. Pirate Radio or Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, pirate radio, I guess. Like, it was all about the pirate radio back in the day. It was like that was like the internet at the time, really, pretty much.
Did you play on pirate radio?
Yeah, I did a bit on Pulse for a bit, yeah, which was definitely an experience. I remember, I think I only ever did, I think like, because they were going through like the stage of getting studios raided all the time, so we used to do a lot of pre-record shows, so most of the shows I did were like pre-recorded, which was like going to some like dodgy trading estate in Tottenham and like going into this office and like the security guards like looking at you thinking like, why are you coming to an office at like 11 o'clock or something, and like playing music for 2 hours and then leaving. But then I remember I did one live show which was like some tower block in Hackney, and I remember I was like, I was a bit nervous about it for some reason, and like there was no toilet in this flat. Well, there was nothing in this flat at all. It was like barren, and there was like a bucket which I assumed was for pissing in. But the trouble was I kind of filled the bucket up during my show, and I felt sorry for whoever's on next because there wasn't really much room left in the bucket.
Cubase or Logic?
Neither, Bitwig.
Whistles or horns?
Well, horns I would say, because whistles are a bit harsh on the ear, aren't they? But yeah, we need to see more horns.
All Night Benders or Sofa and EastEnders?
Well, yeah, probably Sofas and EastEnders, because I was never an all night bender kind of guy. Like, I used to sort of like 3 or 4 o'clock or whatever, I'll be happy to go home. But I've never been one to stay at the end. Stay to the end. It's always a bit grim at the end. Do you know what I mean?
Especially when the lights come on.
Yeah,
and
the
you
lights
look
come
around
on. It's like, world of hate.
We got you on at 5 or 6. Is that right?
Okay, reality TV or HIV?
Fucking hell. That's not much of a choice, is it?
They're both pretty bad, aren't they?
Yeah, they're both pretty bad. So I'd probably have to be reality TV, because HIV is not the best, is it? Really.
Lunacy or Cruelty?
Wow. What, as in like the producer or the sort of life expression? It's probably Cruelty, I would say.
Give us a plug.
Give us a plug for what for the night?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Bust a New Jam. Bust a New Jam. Like March 11th, isn't it? So yeah, March 11th, Bust an Old Jam. Somewhere in, where is it? But yeah, really looking forward to that one. It's all sold out. Looking forward to being down there with the crew and playing some old tunes on a bit of vinyl, which should be nice, hopefully. Yeah, we'll see you all down there.